Hello everyone. Welcome back to Simplify Studies. In today's module, we will study about natural resources. All the things found in nature that are essential for life are called natural resources. These include water, soil, forest, wildlife, and minerals. Natural resources are also important for the economic development of a country, as they are used to produce goods for its people. Natural resources are of two types: renewable and non renewable resources. Renewable resources are also known as green or free energy resources. You can also call it conventional, standard, or regular resources. Resources that never end or get exhausted are known as renewable resources. Such resources constantly get renewed. Air, water, sunlight, soil, forest are examples of renewable resources. Let us start today's session with water. Water is one of the most precious natural resources on earth. Even though three-fourths of the earth's surface is covered with water in the form of oceans and seas, we cannot drink it. We are able to use only a small fraction of it. Water that can be used is known as fresh water. The three main sources of water are the surface water, the underground water, and the frozen water. Under surface water, we have rainwater, river, pond, lake, and seas. Rainwater is the purest form of naturally occurring water. Rivers are the most important source of water in India. India has several rivers such as Ganges, Satluj, Narmada, Mahanadi, Godavari, and Krishna. The rivers of North India, as you have already learnt, are snow-fed and hence called perennial, means having water throughout the year. Whereas the rivers of peninsular India are rain-fed and seasonal, means they dry up in summers. The water from rivers is used for drinking, cooking, washing, and irrigating fields for cultivation. On a global scale, 70% of total amount of fresh water is used in agriculture and in animal rearing. Many of our rivers have dams built across them. A dam is a barrier built across a river to help control floods and supply water for irrigation. Dams are also used to generate electricity. Some of the important dams in India are the Nagarjuna Sagar Dam on Krishna River, the Bhakra Nangal Dam on the Satluj River, and the Sardar Sarovar Dam on the Narmada River. Lakes and tanks are an important source of water in peninsular India, especially during summers. Water is transported from rivers, lakes, and reservoirs to cities and towns with the help of pipes. Once it reaches the cities, the water is cleaned and stored in large water tanks. Water is released from these tanks and brought to our houses with the help of pipes. Here's a picture of Nizam Sagar Reservoir, which is an artificial lake formed by the dam built across the Manjira River in Telangana. Here are few important points related to water. I'm sure you may be knowing many more. So I'll be looking forward to see more uses of water in the comment section. Please do reply. Next, we have underground water. Rainwater, which seeps into the ground, is called underground water. It can be brought to the surface by digging wells or through use of tube wells, or when water pressure causes a natural flow of underground water on the earth's surface in the form of spring. And the third form of water is the frozen water. Under frozen water, we have icebergs and glaciers. Our next topic is soil. Soil is the loose material that covers the earth's surface. It is formed by the breaking down of rocks under the action of heat, water, wind, and living things. The process of breaking down of rocks into small grains of soil is called weathering. Soil forms very slowly. It takes more than 100 years for 1 centimeter of soil to form. Soil is an important natural resource because not only do trees grow in it, but it is also home to humans, small animals, reptiles, and insects. The main type of soil found in India are listed in the table given below. First, we have alluvial soil, which is brought down by the rivers and it is rich in minerals. It is mainly found in northern plains, deltas, and in coastal plains. And the crops which grow very well on this soil are rice, wheat, jute, and sugarcane. Next, we have black soil, which is formed due to weathering of lava rocks. It is mainly found in Deccan Plateau, and it is very good for crops like cotton, sugarcane, and millets. Next, we have red soil, which is formed due to weathering of hard rocks like granite. It is found in Deccan Plateau, Chota Nagpur Plateau, parts of northeast India. And it is good for growing crops like rice and millets. Next, we have laterite soil, which is formed due to weathering of laterite rocks that are not very fertile. It is mainly found in Western Ghats and in Tamil Nadu. It is good for growing crops like tea, coffee, and rubber. Then we have desert soil. It cannot retain water for a long time. It is mainly found in Rajasthan. And it is good for growing millets. For example, you can say jowar, bajra, pulses, and maize. And at last we have mountain soil. It is mainly found on the slopes of mountains and hills of North India. It is good for growing fruits like peach, apple, orange, pear, and plum. Our next topic is natural vegetation. Natural vegetation is an important renewable resource. Plants are useful to us in many ways. Trees take in the harmful carbon dioxide from the air and release oxygen. Hence, they help us live. They also help in precipitation, which regulates the global temperature. The roots of the trees hold the soil together and thus help prevent in soil erosion. Forests provide shelter to animals. We get timber, firewood, rubber, gum, medicines, food, and other products from forest. Next, move on to the next topic, and that is wildlife. Wildlife refers to all those animals and birds that are found in the wild. India has a rich, diverse wildlife. Some of the animals found in wild India includes tiger, lion, elephant, langurs, etc. Wildlife is an important part of natural environment. In olden days, large part of India was covered by dense forest, but now the forest wealth has been lost due to deforestation. Next, we have solar energy. Energy that we get from sun in the form of heat and light is called solar energy. It is an important source of energy as it causes no pollution and can be endlessly renewed. India receives so much of solar energy that we can set up 20 megawatt solar power plant per square kilometer of its land area. Solar energy is used at homes to run heaters, cookers, coolers, fans, air conditioners, etc. It is also being used in transport sector to power trains, buses and cars. In India, the states of Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Telangana, and Andhra Pradesh are the leading producers of solar power. Next, we have wind energy. It is the cheapest source of energy. It originated in Holland. The force of the wind is also used to generate electricity using devices known as windmills. A wind farm is a place that has hundreds of windmills put together to generate electricity. Wind farms are usually built in coastal areas. Like solar energy, wind energy is a non polluting source of energy. Tamil Nadu has India's largest wind farm in Mupandal. Then Gujarat, Maharashtra and Karnataka also produce large amount of wind energy. There are so many other renewable resources like geothermal energy, tidal energy, then you can say biomass or biofuel energy. Find out more about it. Now, a question for you all. What is the full form of IREDA? I'll be waiting for your answers. And let's move on to the next topic, and that is non renewable resources. Non renewable resources are resources which will not last forever. Few examples of non renewable resources are coal, petroleum, natural gases, minerals, etc. Among these, coal, petroleum, and natural gases are called fossil fuels. Now, let us see what are fossil fuels and how are they formed. Here you can see when sea plants and animals die, they get settled on seabed and are buried by many layers of sand and soil over the years. So, after million and million of years, under the great pressure and temperature, these dead creatures turn into petroleum and natural gas reservoirs. Then, carbon and hydrogen bondings occur and different components are formed. Sometimes these reservoirs of petroleum even seeps onto the ground and get stuck under rock layers. These rock layers are impermeable, means waterproof or airtight layers, under which gas reservoirs and oil reservoirs will be there. Sometimes these oil reservoirs are as big as a big city. Now, let us understand how scientists find out these reservoirs which are underneath the earth. So, scientists conduct some surveys like seismic survey, gravitational survey, and geological mapping. Then they send some sound waves into the ground, and when these sound waves reflect back, scientists make a note of the location and pump out the oil, that is petroleum, from the ground using big tunnels. This oil which is pumped out is petroleum or crude oil. From petroleum, we get many products like petrol, diesel, kerosene, Vaseline, etc. We use these products in many areas like industries, vehicles, medicines, cosmetics, etc. In India, petroleum is found mainly in Assam, Gujarat, and under the sea in Bombay High near Mumbai. And recently, large deposits of petroleum have been found in Rajasthan and in the Krishna Godavari basin in the Bay of Bengal. Many more areas are being explored for petroleum. Now, let me share a very interesting and real story of natural gas. In 1971, when Turkmenistan was still part of Russia, the Soviet scientists had set up a drilling rig for extraction of natural gas in Turkmenistan. But the rig collapsed and methane gas started spreading from the crater. To stop the methane gas from dissolving into the environment, the scientists decided to burn away the dangerous methane gas. So they set it on fire. They hoped it would only take a couple of weeks to get rid of the methane gas, but it has been burning till now. This fire is world famous by the name of Door to Hell or Gate to Hell. Next, we have coal. Coal is an important source of energy in India. It is used to generate electricity to run factories and also used as domestic fuel for cooking in Indian households. India has large reserves of coal. Coal is mainly found in Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, Chhattisgarh, and West Bengal. Next, we have minerals. Minerals are naturally occurring substances found in the earth's crust. Iron, magnesium, and silica are some examples of minerals. A rock containing a large amount of a particular mineral is called an ore. Ores have to be dug out from the earth's surface through a process known as mining. The places from where ores are dug out are called mines. India is rich in mineral resources. The table below shows some of the main minerals found in India. First, we have iron ore. It is a reddish brown mineral from which metal iron is taken out. It is found in Jharkhand, Orissa, Chhattisgarh, and in Maharashtra. It is used to make iron and steel, which are used in construction, machinery, and transportation, and to make utensils. Next, we have bauxite. It is ore of the metal aluminium, a very light metal. It is found in Orissa, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Maharashtra, and in Goa. It is used to make aircrafts as it is light and does not rust. Next, we have copper ore. It is ore of metal copper. It is found in Jharkhand and in Rajasthan. It is used to make electrical wires as copper is good conductor of electricity. It is also used to make utensils as it is a good conductor of heat as well. Next, we have limestone. It is found in Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, and in Gujarat. It is used to make steel, cement, and tiles. Next, we have manganese. It is found in Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand, Karnataka, and in Orissa. It is used in the iron and steel industry for making special kind of steel. Now, let us understand how to conserve these resources. As we have learned in this module, we are dependent on natural resources to satisfy many of our needs. Thus, we must conserve them, not just for our use, but for use of our future generations. Conservation means protecting something and keeping it safe for future use. So, here are few guidelines which we can follow. Use more of renewable resources like solar energy and wind energy for generating electricity and running machines instead of fossil fuels like coal and petroleum. To save energy, switch off fans and lights when not in use. Walk or use public transport like buses and metro rails whenever possible. They carry more people at a time and therefore energy is saved. Avoid polluting water bodies, land, and air. By polluting them, we limit the availability of these resources. Save water. Fresh water is in very limited supply. Water used to wash clothes or dishes can be reused for other purposes such as watering plants. Collect and use rainwater. Farming should be practiced using scientific and sustainable methods that do not cause any harm to the soil. Natural fertilizers like animal manure should be used in place of synthetic fertilizers. Over irrigation should be avoided as it can make the soil salty and unfit for use. Fight to stop deforestation and try to plant more trees. The roots of the plants hold the soil together and thus help prevent soil erosion. Encourage the government to create more wildlife sanctuaries and reserved forests. Construction of roads or settlements within protected forest areas should be prohibited. There are a number of things that we can do from our side to conserve resources. We may not be able to change the entire world, but even a small act of turning off the light or closing a dripping tap can make an impact. If everyone watching this video conserves resources, then we can save a lot for future. Each of us should do our best to conserve resources and ensure that our planet stays green and healthy. Little things make a big difference. On that positive note, I'd like to end today's video. Thank you and have a good day.